Good afternoon. I'm back with a deeper impartation. You can catch me on Apple, Buzzsprout. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I've been going through for the past couple of months. Remember I told you previously about, how God helped me on my journey and stuff. So I'm going to tell you like a little little backstory of what I've been going through. You can catch me on Apple platform and also Buzzsprout. Now, I have a son who's currently incarcerated, and that has not been an easy thing. I felt ashamed. I felt sad. I felt burdened. I felt like probably typical things that moms go through. Oh, where did I mess up at? How can I improve as a parent? And I became harder on my other 3 children. I'm currently a mom of 4, and it wasn't easy, being a parent. I had my oldest son at 21 going on 22, and it just have not been easy at all. In the process of all of that, I'm going to be honest with you. My son has been rebellious, things like that, of that nature. So a lot of times as a parent, we feel like we failed our children when they start to, become rebellious and start doing things that we didn't teach them. My son used to smoke. He was in the streets. I worked a lot. I went to school. And being that I worked a lot and I went to school, I didn't really have time for my children. I wasn't a stay-at-home mom, no. But I'm not going to, keep blaming myself for it. I tried to bring him up the best way I could, and he wound up in jail. But in life, we have to realize that God has a plan and a purpose for everything that he does. I didn't understand it at the time of why God did what he did. But the only thing I can remember was that I was in the shower one day. My son did something I can't remember. And one thing about me, I've always been a praying mom. Like always, I did family circles. I did prayer groups with my kids. We would read scriptures since they were babies. I always try to equate God in their life. So with that being said, my son was rebellious. He going through his teenage years, and we don't realize that the spirit of rejection is real. When a child feels like they've been rejected, they start to kind of get the orphan spirit. The orphan spirit, we all know what orphans are. Basically children who have no mother, no father. And then it starts to trickle down. It starts out it's like you planting a small seed. And once that seed is planted in them, that seed begins to water. But then eventually that absent parent, that child yearned for. And that's what was going on with my child, where sometimes things are generational. And I felt like personally, I brought that into my family. And the reason why I say I brought that into my family, because I've also have suffered with this rejection. I also suffered with the absent parent. And it wasn't an easy one, So with that, I kind of brought it into my family, into my lineage. And as I'm bringing children into this world, I'm bringing children into this world who's also going through the orphan spirit. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Growing up, I ain't going to say I had the proper role models in my life. I didn't. And I kind of emulated a lot of things that I seen around me. You understand? So a lot of times it was hard for me to just say, you know what? I don't want to be this way, or I don't want to be that way, when it's already plainly in my face. Now, let's go back to my son. He adopted the orphan spirit, and he felt deserted. Jesus had Jesus felt rejection. Jesus felt the orphan spirit. David, so many people in the Bible had felt like that. You don't hear too many about people in the Bible who had a mother and a father. It's either one or the other. Or you might hear about them experiencing rejection some kind of way. Sometimes rejection could come through a job. It could come through a family member. It could come through a friend. It could come through whatever, and we don't know how to like internalize it the proper way. So my son didn't know how to internalize the things that he was going through, how to put it, on paper, how to speak to someone. And by the time I tried to get him help is when the pandemic happened. So let's fast forward a little bit, coming back into that, when it came time to me trying to get him the help that he needed, he was rejected. I had to wait. When it comes time to speaking to teachers, he was being rejected. He had to wait. When it comes time to speaking to guidance counselor, he was being rejected. He had to wait. So now I'm left with the burden of being a parent, of course, and trying to finagle between a job, being a student, and being a mom. Oh, sorry. Which was not easy. Which was not easy at all. I'm a little under the weather, y'all. I'm so sorry. But yes, which was not easy for me, wasn't easy for my children. And mind you, at the time, I was raising 5 children. 5. One which wasn't mine, biologically, but God put him in my life to steward him. I'm not going to say steward, to be a parent to him. And it was not easy. It was not easy at all. So now here it is now my marriage is failing. Then I have a rebellious teenager. The only thing I could do was just cry and look to God for everything. There was nights I cried myself to sleep. There was nights that I was sitting in the shower and just cry and cry and cry. And the reason why I would cry is because I knew like it was out of my hands. I'm like, God, you gave me this child. This is your child. No matter what I'm going through, this is your child. He wouldn't listen. Every time I say, oh, don't go outside, he go outside. And a lot of us parents can relate to this. Let's be real. We could all relate to this. A lot of us can relate to it. To children being rebellious, or they're doing the opposite of what we asking them to do. And it wasn't easy for me as a parent. It wasn't. And I'm, like I said, we blame ourselves for it, but it's not your fault. Sometimes them being rebellious and God isolating them, and so God can do his work in them. And unfortunately, it took for my son to go to jail for God to do a work in him. But don't forget, he did it for Paul and Silas. They were in jail. Most of their ministry was in jail. God could do it from anywhere. You don't even have to be in jail. You could be sitting at your table like I am. You could be on a train. He could still use you. You could be in the street. He could still use you. He uses people all the time. Remember what happened in Noah's Ark? Remember after it rained 40 days, 40 nights, Noah sent a raven. And when he sent the raven to go out, for it to go out and show them a sign that the ground was dry. The raven returned the first time. But when he sent that raven back out again, a dove appeared. That's the kind of work that God does on us. He will have you as a raven first. He'll have you as a raven first. For you to come back that beautiful white dove. It's not easy in this walk. I promise you it's not. You get hit. You really have to do an inner work. But you got to give God something to work with. And sometimes our disobedience, God still blesses you. Because that's the kind of Father we serve. He's so gentle. He's so kind. He's so sweet. But we're so disobedient to him. Can you imagine if God treated us the way we treat him? A lot of us wouldn't even be where we are today. But because he has so much grace and mercy for us, so much grace and mercy, and he loves us unconditionally. They said his love is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. So his love never changes for us, even when we're disobedient. So even in my disobedience, my son's disobedience, God was still right there. He's still working on a raven to make us a dove. And a lot of parents, a lot of women especially, my biggest thing that I used to hate to talk about, I'm going to be honest with you, was my son. I hated to talk about my son. And would you believe, like, some of the things that were said? I lost a lot of friendships. I lost a lot of family members. I lost a lot of people along the way. But guess who I found? And guess who I got closer to? God. Guess who was there for me, wiping up my tears? God. Guess who counted all my tears? God. Guess who was there to comfort me? God. Because he said, I will never leave nor forsake you. And it's the same thing with my son. I pray he walk into his calling, because his testimony is going to be so powerful. I promise you. His testimony is going to be so powerful, because the God we serve is nothing to play with. And like I stated before, I really hated talking about my child. I did. I felt ashamed, if you want to know. I felt ashamed. But his pain, and a part of my pain, was his purpose. God knew what he was doing when he did that. And I remember that prayer I said, and I said, God, this is your child. I don't know what to do with him, but you do. And God immediately stepped right in. Because one thing we know is God is a jealous God. And you can't serve two masters. You can't idolize your children. You can't idolize that man. You can't idolize that job. You can't idolize your family. You can't idolize whoever or whatever. You can't idolize the phone, the computer. Whatever it is that you're idolizing, God is a jealous God, and he's going to find ways to get your attention. And unfortunately, sometimes he uses the ones that's closer to us. But it's all for his purpose. It's all for his good. And like I stated to somebody, I was like, it took a long time for me to go through this healing process. I'm not going to lie. It was like, it was a season of letting go and letting God. I'm not going to lie to you. How can you let go of your child? The child you brought into this world to give back to the same God that helped bring him into this world. How? How can you let go? It's hard. You know how many times I let go, pick back up, let go, pick back up? Yep. But I had to trust the process. And today I can honestly say, I trust God with my child. I trust God with my life. I trust God with my children. I trust God with my family. I trust God with my friends. Remember, Abraham had to do it. God tested him. He really wanted to see if he's going to bring his son to that mountain and kill him until that angel stepped right in. You have to give your children back to God. Yes, I'm a mom of a child who's incarcerated. If you want, we could connect. I have no problem connecting with women from all around who's experiencing the same experience as me. But we have to leave it in God's hands. He has the final say so. He knows all the answers. We don't. I thought I had the answers. I did. I thought I knew what was best. And when I say I realized I was idolizing my son the whole time, I was. Didn't even know I was idolizing the whole time. And when God tell you not to look back, please don't look back. Don't be like Lot's wife and turn into a pillar of salt. Because God sends warning before destruction. He does. But I hope this blesses you. Like I said, I'm a little under the weather. But My name is Sierra. I'm back with a deeper impartation. I pray this song blesses somebody's mom. Like I said, you could hit me up. We can talk. I want to start like a little women's group if you want to do that for women whose sons are incarcerated. They're teenage sons. My son been locked up since he was 16. He's now 19, about to be 20 in 2 months. If you just want to talk and pray and get it off your chest, I'm that parent because I had to cry to God. I cried to my sis. When I say I love my sister, and you got to surround yourself with people who are like-minded. Please. Like, I'm talking about people that's going to pray for you, uplift you, encourage you. And then you want people to be so sensitive in the spirit that God pick it up. And they be like, yo, sis, what's going on? Yo, brother, what's going on? Those are the kind of people you want to connect to. Like, God got you. He ain't forget you. He hear your prayers. He see your tears. He see your ups days, your down days. God sees it all. He's never asleep. Those are the kind of people you want to keep connected. But I'm back again with a deeper impartation. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm really had the sniffles. My kids got me sick. We all know how that is as a parent. And I hope this blesses you. I pray it blesses you. And like I said, leave your information if you want to speak. Not anybody. Please have discernment. And have a great day.